In Africa, we are the Jews in Africa. In Africa, we are the Jews in Africa.
Hello everyone, we're starting a new series of Jews of East Africa. Some that were born here, some that came here, some that are living here permanently, some that are living here temporarily. And starting with us, we're going to start with Ezra, who has come and joined us from Argentina, Israel, and now in Kenya. And welcome. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Thank you. So, as you said, my name is Ezra. I'm here in Nairobi right now, the Hebrew congregation. But I've been living in Embu County, in a village called Kadageri. I came to Kenya to do an internship for 4 months. I'm a student at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and I'm coming back tomorrow.
Wonderful. So Ezra came on his first day here. He came straight from the airport, and now he's heading back, so it's a full circle. We're very excited to have been able to spend this time with Ezra here. Really became part of the family. Ezra, you came from Argentina. Was it the first time you were in Israel now, or were you there before?
It was the second time this time. I was born in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. I grew up in a secular family. I always knew I was Jewish, but first I connected with my identity when I traveled to Israel for the first time. That was 7 years ago. I traveled with Taglit. That was a life-changing experience for me. And after that, I continued engaging with my identity. I met Maria, my girlfriend, in Taglit, and I started doing my research. I studied anthropology, that's my degree, and my research I did it in a Jewish community in Buenos Aires, and then I traveled to Israel for the second time to study this master's in the Hebrew University in international development.
Amazing. So for those who don't know what Taglit is, can you explain a bit about the program?
Mm-hmm. So Taglit is a program of 10 days to spend in Israel for young people around the world, Jewish people, where they take you all around the country and to have the Israeli experience of getting to know different places, different communities, to spend the Shabbat, to spend a day with, you spend time with soldiers, and you experience different things related to our history, to more religious aspects.
So what brought you to the synagogue?
Okay, so I had to do a little research on different facts about Kenya. So I was researching on the religious aspect of Kenya, among other data that I needed to gather to have an understanding of the country before coming to do my internship. So I was reading in Wikipedia that Kenya has an overwhelming majority of Christians, and there's also an important Muslim community. But in Wikipedia, it said that there is this synagogue in Nairobi, so I knew I needed to come to see what was happening here. And the first day I arrived to Kenya, I came for Shabbat on Friday to the synagogue, and here I met Nathaniel and Avital, and from that day I continued coming, and this was also like a family for me.
So I'm very curious, you said you grew up very secular. What brings you to a synagogue? Have you been to other synagogues beforehand?
I did, been to other synagogues beforehand. But first, I think the first thing that brought me here was this sense of belonging and community, especially being in a new country where I knew almost anyone, always coming to meet other people that are related to you. I think it's always a nice thing to do. And I've been exploring the Shabbat myself before coming here. I kept one Shabbat in Israel before coming here, and then I continued keeping Shabbat here in Kenya. was a really nice experience.
I love the story. Can you tell the story about your first Shabbat in Embu? I love that story.
Yeah, so what are you referring about?
I'm referring to the. Well, first we need to explain your setting over there, right? You're living with another family. You're living inside their house, and you decided that you wanted to keep Shabbat, right? So you decided to keep Shabbat, and they asked you about the TV.
Yeah. So what happened was that I was keeping my first Shabbat in my new home, where there are very religious people, Christians. So from the first moment, they understood everything I explained to them about the rules of my Shabbat. But anyway, they were, of course, living their life without keeping Shabbat. So they were using electricity, light, the television, and suddenly the television started failing, and the network went away, and this for real. I was very impressed, and it did not come back until Shabbat finished.
It's a miracle. There's a saying that says that those who want to do better, the world, God helps them. Like things happen to make it work, and I love that story. It's a great story. So often you would join us for Shabbat and holidays. You traveled here, which is always a crazy story of how to get here. But just like people understand the distance from Embu to Nairobi and being able to get here with the traffic and everything around it, you know.
Yeah, so I usually work from Monday to Friday in the village, and usually when I have the opportunity of coming to Nairobi, I need to travel on Friday afternoon, which is usually crazy because I want to be here on time, because traffic is usually terrible at that time, and in a normal day you may use 3 hours to come, but sometimes it's 4, 5, 6 hours, and it's quite a journey to drive in the matatu, which is the public transport here in Kenya. It can be an experience, an adventure. So I was coming here for some Shabbat, for the holidays. Anytime I could find time, it was my best plan ever.
So after you were here with us for Rosh Hashanah, then you went back, and then you were here again for Yom Kippur and stayed. We built the community sukkah over here, and afterwards you went back and you built your own sukkah. Yeah. The first sukkah ever, as far as we know, built in Embu, which is right by Mount Kenya, and that's an amazing thing. But you built his very first sukkah, and got a nice picture of him sitting there with his mate, which you can explain a bit. What's mate?
Mate is a drink, tea from Argentina, Uruguay, Brazil. We usually drink it on a daily basis.
Anytime you could. Yeah, so sitting in the sukkah with his mate, which is very, very classic for South America. So mate in the sukkah and reading a book, enjoying the holiday.
So it was the first sukkah built in Embu, as far as we know, and it was my first sukkah to be built and the first sukkah I ever sat on. So it was a whole experience, and I enjoyed it so much. I was in a video call with Nathaniel. He was helping me to build a kosher sukkah, and finally we succeeded to build one.
And there was so like building the sukkah inside Embu Lake. How did you actually physically build it?
Okay, so I had to find a suitable place where the sukkah would not bother anyone around in the house. So after looking, I found the perfect place. I bought some string and I bought some sheets that I used as the walls of the sukkah, and I also, the third wall, I used the fence that is already built with the shamba next door. And so I tied the strings from a tree. It was 3 trees that I had to tie the strings. And for the ceiling, I looked some banana leaves and some different leaves that I could find, branches. So finally I can say that it was a proper sukkah.
And how did people react to Sukkah in the middle of Embu?
That was very funny. People were constantly asking me, what is that place that you have there? And people call it my temple. And I invited people to come because we know that inviting guests to your Sukkah is a good thing. But not many people had the guts to come. They didn't know what was going to happen. And even some people told me, Pablo, you know, I'm Christian. What is going to happen when I enter there? So maybe people come and peek, but they didn't want to sit. But I had one guest who came and sit with me. We chat for a while and listen to some music. So finally I could have a guest.
Amazing. And you celebrated another holiday there, Hanukkah.
Mm-hmm.
You celebrate there. Also, we're assuming the first Hanukkah lit in Embu. What was that like?
Yeah, it was so nice. First, people asked me about the candles, so I also had to do a proper research on what I was going to explain, and everyone was so impressed by the story and telling me how God protected us in that moment, and it continued to protect us until now. And every time it was also my first Hanukkah to lead. So every time the time comes to lit one candle, it's just a beautiful moment. And I did what you recommended, to stare at the fire when you lit the candles.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And let it feel.
And let it just let it just absorb.
Yeah.
So like Hanukkah, the whole essence of it with the light it has to do with your Jewish identity, finding out who we are, connecting to who we are. And I find for me, it's just amazing that you found a lot of your Jewish identity here in Kenya, in the middle of nowhere, you know, from Argentina to Israel to Kenya, and like came over here, right? The first thing I think you asked me, we were sitting here at the Shabbos table with another traveler who is a very interesting character. I hope to have him on this show also one day. But he after he left, he said, I never put on tefillin. I would like to put on tefillin. And we sat upstairs and talked for hours about it. And for me, like, being able to find Judaism in the middle of nowhere is unbelievable. Kenya is built out of all these different tribes over here, mm-hmm. right? Where there's 47 tribes, mm-hmm. and everywhere that Ezra goes, what do people say?
Yeah, that I'm Jewish, so I'm from the tribe of God.
The tribe of God. Isn't that like an unbelievable thing? Being Jewish in Kenya is very, very easy. People come up to you all the time and saying, "Oh, you're so lucky that you're Jewish." You know, Jesus wasn't Jewish, but people are very, very excited about this.
Yeah.
And you know, you're going back to Israel now,
mm-hmm.
out of this whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are you taking from this experience?
Oh, so much. Okay, first of all, I would like to say that maybe being in the middle of a rural area where there are no Jewish people, maybe it also makes things easier, or make, I don't know if to call it easier, but I had all this space to explore myself, and with an environment that was correct to do that exploration. Also, it was fundamental to have your guidance. I knew that I could call you or write you in any moment, and we always had engaging conversations and discussions, and especially on the Shabbat, we have a lot of time to talk about things, and I think that is also Judaism for me, being able to expand without taboos and be able to ask about anything, and to get deep on every topic possible. Yeah, so I think I have a lot of things that I'm taking home.
We're going to miss you a lot, and we'll see you soon in Israel.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
I'll miss you.
Me too.